Hey Andy, how's it going?
Hey Mick, how are you doing?
Good. I saw that you got some new stuff up there on Kickstarter for DrakenStone, and it's doing
Yeah,
really good. I see it got funded right away.
check it out. My DrakenStone Kickstarter got funded in less than an hour. Can you believe it?
Yeah, that's really cool. But I can see why, because I mean you've got the high quality, you got the magnetics, and personally I love the magnetics. When I'm playing with my friends, and we're always bumping the table, especially my friends got the big tummy.
Yeah, the barbarian fails his dexterity roll and he hits the table and then it all goes wonky, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
So
don't have to worry about that because, magnets, baby. So it all sticks together and it just lays down really fast. You don't have to spend half an hour setting up the scene. And a lot of people like the low walls and, you don't have to paint it. So that's great.
yeah, that's nice. And I'm not a painter. I can't do that stuff. I'm in it for the good time. But I've got friends who are, and they've painted some stuff, and it's just, it always turns out really well. So, what, I don't know what magic you're putting in it, and I assume it's magic, not science, that you're making this with. So I think it's probably turning out really well for you. I think this campaign's going to work out really good for you, and I mean, you deserve it because I've seen some of the other stuff out there, and it's frankly, it's not even close.
That's cool. Thanks for saying that. And it's not Dungeon Wizard, it's Dungeon Artist. So what I do is I just make every piece a little different. I mix it up. I put the gray resin in, black and white dots. I kind of swirl it around and pour it on out, and it looks like granite. And then you and I don't have to spend all this time painting it. So that's good news.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it too is I'm actually getting a piece of art. Is each piece is handmade by you, and I know it's not like machine stamped coming from China, and it's your loving work, so it feels good. And
That's
that's nice.
awesome. I love doing it and it's fun. And you know what? We're in the second day now of my Kickstarter and I've doubled my goal. So hope it keeps growing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It looks really good. So, and
So
how many days you got left? How many days did you run it for?
it's I did it for 30 days. So there's still like 28 days left to go. So jump in there and pledge on the Kickstarter. You can get started for $10 and get one 6x6 room. So you can start with a little dungeon and you can build from there.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I started with a little diorama and just to set things on and put my little characters on and my figurines that I've had for years. I mean, they work out real well with it, and uh, you know, I get a lot of compliments about my sets that I have, and that's why I decided, like, when I'm out doing my shows, I would really like to sell your stuff at my shows. So I'm glad you decided to work with me in that area, and that I'm going around to Renaissance festivals and many other places like that, and people, what they do, they come to the table, especially the light up pieces. They really like the light up pieces. That attracts the eye. They come to the table, they see these torches, they're like, "What is this?" And I'm this and that. And as we're talking about the Drakenstone pieces, eventually it comes over to my books,
Right. It all
my
fits.
games, things like that.
We're both kind of old D&D nerds that grew up and are just still big kids that like to play with toys and tell
Yeah,
stories. So I've got some really good D&D stories and I put them all down as adventures that you can play on the terrain, and can't wait to finish that adventure I'm writing for your Unremembered Realms.
yeah.
Speaking of your Unremembered Realms, so tell me about your Kickstarter. So you've got double your original goal.
Yes, I'm almost there. I'm almost at 200%. Uh, what it is usually I write books, comedy, fantasy books. And lately I've been building games that I launch on Kickstarter, tabletop games. And like as you mentioned, I'm working on that Unremembered Realms role playing system. And it's I'm trying to mix as much humor in it as I can because that's what makes me me. So and that's the whole Unremembered Realms branding. But on this Kickstarter, I decided to do something a little bit different. Being I mean, you're a musician, and so you can appreciate this. Me and a friend got together, and we decided to do a musical CD that's set in the Unremembered Realms, and basically it's a lizard man and his band. It's called Scales and the Marshtones,
So
and
he's
they're going.
basically the bard in the party, right?
What's that?
He's the bard in the party, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they're going on tour all over the Unremembered Realms, and there's 7 tour locations. And each skit on the CD is them playing about 3 or 4 songs per skit, and they're parodies of popular music. And as you can see on the side there, there's Scales. He's the he plays rhythm lute, and Peevis Calloway is the lead lute player.
Thing, rhythm lute.
Yeah. So I base this band on a lot of, because I grew up during the metal age, you know, so it's like I have that sense of ability
Metal.
about me. So you know, you can see that the half ogre down there, Mal Chafer, and then there's Gilliganus Gasper Krebs. He's known as Gasper, and he's an undead druid. He's a ghost, and he plays the bongos. But the funny part of the CD is you never hear drums, and it's because Gilliganus doesn't know, or Gasper doesn't know, that nobody can hear him play because he's on another realm of existence.
That's awesome.
But he's still jamming with the band. And so yeah, I put the CD together. There's 25 songs, and what's really cool about it is that you don't have to buy the CD itself. You can there's an option on there to get just the digital.
Okay.
So if you don't have that much money, you can get just the digital from anywhere in the world, of course. And if you buy the physical CD, I'll send you the digital files anyway. So you get the best of both worlds if you want the physical copy.
Right. So if you have a CD player, you can play the disc, but then you can also play the downloaded files on your other devices.
Exactly. What I didn't want people to do is go, oh boy, I gotta take the CD out, put it in my computer, download or burn in the songs. And it's like, no, I'll do that for you. I'll just send you everything digitally. And the cool part is you're gonna get the 7 skits as MP3s, but you're gonna get all 25 songs separated from that as well. So you don't, let's say you listen to the skit like 20 times, you're like, okay, I'm sick of listening to the skit, but I still want to hear the music in between the jokes and stuff. So you're going to get the songs themselves by themselves. So you can, if there's a few favorites that you have, you can listen to them and just enjoy the music when you're done listening to the comedy.
So this would be like, I'm thinking it's a perfect gift for Christmas for some of the nerdy friends that I have and guys that are into role playing. And I mean, there's nothing like this out there. And the Monty Python and the comedy aspect of it's what's really attractive to me.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of in jokes for gamers. I mean, uh, I mean, one of the songs on there is called Anarchy on Game Day. It's a takeoff of the Sex Pistols' Anarchy in the UK.
Right.
And it's about a rules lawyer.
Oh
So,
boy.
yeah, it's about how the rules lawyer, he's angry because the dice didn't go his way, so he's going to ruin game day for everybody.
You know, last time I played a bard, my chosen musical instrument was cowbell.
Nice. Because you always need more.
You always need more cowbell.
Yeah.
Although that's all he had. It was just his cowbell. Cool.
See,
So
I could write a skit about that, because I mean, what if they had a second cowbell player? Then you'd have
awesome.
2 cowbells.
Wow. Second cowbell. Wow. So this is another Unremembered Realms product in a long line of books, games. I mean, I've got some of them here. We've got, tell me more about Unremembered Realms. I've got Gamble at the Gallows. Okay.
Yep.
That was a Kickstarter.
Yep. That
I've
was a
got
Kickstarter.
all 3 Journal of an Outlaw books,
Yep.
which, by the way, are really good to read to kids because they don't really contain anything R-rated. And so with my 8-year-old, we can share stories at night. They don't
And
have to.
I write the books for adults, so adults find them very funny. But my thing is I keep it clean so kids can enjoy it too. Sometimes there's a little, like potty humor, like like people breaking wind, stuff like that, and maybe a
But
orc gets his head cut off.
there may be a zombie or a vampire, but it's all in good fun. So
Yeah, I've had no complaints from parents, and I've gotten plenty of fan mail from people of all ages, from 7 to 70.
So here's another one that my wife and I have enjoyed playing. It's called Fumble Crit Wars. And if you haven't checked that out, everybody, you should look at that one. It's another Mick McArts game. And the whole series of just all the different Unremembered Realms things just all have really great artwork. And I'd like to compliment you on having just the style and the quality of the all the Unremembered Realms things look polished. When you get something, you're not going to be disappointed with, oh well, it's a little janky, or it's crooked, or it's just it didn't print well, or there's something wrong with it. Or I haven't found any errors in proofreading, or every label looks glossy. I don't know what else to say other than it just looks polished.
I'm a graphic designer by trade. That's what I do in my day job. So I make sure that everything is just top of the line. I don't like errors in it. My job is to catch errors and fix it and make it shine, because I work for $1 million company and they expect that. So that when I come home, I put that in all my products. And I respect that. When I find an artist who, like the artists that I have, I work with Matt McIntyre. He does my covers, and there's a guy called Josh Williams. He helps me with a lot of my game art, and he actually drew the Scales and the Marshtones cover. Josh Williams, and he's got that little touch of humor to it that just makes it really pop, and I like that.
Realistic, but a little bit cartoony.
Yeah. Yeah, in my outlaw books, I try to make it more gritty, but for Scales and the Marshtones, it just needed that little thing of humor because it is music and it's us kind of goofing. So that's a lot of fun. And there on my Kickstarter, there's a $3 and $5 option where you can get just a song if you want to check it out. Maybe get the CD after the Kickstarter. It's probably going to be on my website and be available. But
Okay.
I would sure appreciate it if people jumped on that Kickstarter and supported it right now.
So that's called Scales and the Marshtones with Mick McArts. And it looks like you have 7 days left. So you're way over your goal. I know you're going to succeed. So
I want to get it to go as high as possible, of course, because it's Kickstarter.
Mhm.
Did you mention the dice jails that we worked on together?
Oh yeah, we've been working together on a lot of projects, and the last one we did together on Kickstarter was the Dice Jail, and it has a magnetic lid. You put your dice in it, and
Got one right here.
dice in it, and then there's a game where you play the naughty dice game, or if you want to just play any other game, Yahtzee, D&D, whatever game you like, you can roll in style. And look, it has real metal bars.
Yep,
It's
real
not
metal bars.
3D printed stuff, it's not that brittle, dry, plasticky stuff. This is poured real mold.
It just snaps right back. Boom. Got a nice carved logo on the back, on the bottom.
How does somebody get one of those if they wanted to get one?
They can go on my website at theunrememberedrealms.com, and there'll be a link there. You might have to search around a bit. My website isn't, perfectly organized like I would really like, but everything under unrememberedrealms.com, you should be able to find everything that I currently have. You can even find DrakenStone pieces in there. But you can, what's your web address again? Isn't it just
But
DrakenStone.com?
yeah, basically it's just DrakenStone.com, and that's it. So if you go there, you see this. There's that dragon in the background, and it's just all my different products, and there's a gallery and stuff. And then I do have a page that shows my Kickstarter progress, and there's a secure shopping cart there. So basically, though, a lot of the things that I'm offering in my Kickstarter aren't on the website and aren't available on eBay. They're not available on Etsy. It's just wanted to do a little bit something special for just the people at Kickstarter. That's why I'm doing, if I get 100 pledges, every pledge is going to come with 5 figures. See, my goal is, if you want to have D&D night, you only need to make one trip. Because if you got all the terrain, all the figures, and the adventure, okay, maybe you'll have to buy a pencil. But other than that, it's got everything you need for game night. So wouldn't you like to get all 5 of the, these are actually 3D printed, okay? This one's the dwarf. And then
Those, and I'm amazed at the quality of those, how thick they are, how nice they are. They're not easily breakable.
it's a little bit flexible. So it's not that PLA or ABS stuff that comes in a string and you don't see those little lines in it. It's actually molded from a liquid using LED lights. So you don't see those little, there's the thief, and then here's the mage. So if I get 100 backers, every single reward is going to come with these 5 figures.
Yeah, that's nice.
Let me show you some of the other bonus things. Now, you mentioned the lights, so I'm just going to show those off a little bit. This is my gaming table where I set everything up to show off. So this is your basic column. It has a hole in it. And then these are the lights. And you just slide it in. It fits right in there. And then you push on it and it lights up. And when you want it to turn off, you just pull it out a little bit, it turns off. So there's no wires, there's no switches. You just touch it and it goes.
That was a huge favorite at my shows that I do, where I sell your stuff. That attracted a lot of people.
So check this out. This is the Catacombs. Okay, this is the stackable dungeon. You can stack it up any way you want to. You can make yourself a 3D dungeon like that. And I have staircases here. Go from one level to the next. Staircases. So a lot of the terrain that's out there, it doesn't stack up. You can only do one level. So with this, you can build and build and build and make it go higher and higher. See what I mean?
And depending on your budget, you can make the biggest dungeon you ever saw.
This is nice. So I know that $400 seems like a lot of money to spend on dungeons, but with some of the other terrain stuff that's out there, you spend $400 and you get one room. Okay, so it's pretty detailed, but it's only this big. So I always list the number of playable squares in the dungeons, you know. So when you're comparing some dungeons to others, always ask, how many playable squares is it? Is it 36 playable squares? That's a 6-inch square. That's pretty small. So these are 6 by 6. And then these larger ones are 6 by 13. And they have tall walls. Most of the stuff, a lot of the stuff I make is just the short walls like this.
Yeah. I like the packaging on that too.
Yeah, these are for retail stores. I'm in just a couple local retail stores, but I mostly sell online. As time goes on, I'll add more retail stores, but
Hmm.
let me show you the cool dice tray. If you ever, you should do this in your Kickstarter, Mick. It's a great way to get everybody coming back. And that is, if you've ever pledged in any of my Kickstarters ever before, at any level, even $1, and if you pledge in this Kickstarter, you get a free dice tray.
Wow.
So even if you just pledged $1 in my previous Kickstarter, if you pledge in this one, any kind of dungeon, if it's $50 or more, then I send you this for free.
Wow.
So
that is a good idea to do that, because yeah, it'll get people back. Because I mean, they're just such good products.
these are some of the add-ons I'm adding on. So check the add-ons and stretch goals and stuff on the Kickstarter, and you can get yourself stained glass windows in your doors. So that looks pretty classy when your party arrives and goes to open the door, and it looks like that.
Yeah.
It just slides in there, you know.
And you got the portals that you can slide your iPhone into as well.
I've got those. Yeah, that was in my previous Kickstarter, and I didn't list those in this Kickstarter, but I think I'll maybe make that its own separate one.
Mm.
And I've also got an idea for another Kickstarter in the future, probably later this year, which is magnetic blocks that stick together. And some people like to use that, you know, the roll-out graph paper, the gaming paper. They just draw, or the dry erase grid mat, where they draw a little map with their dry erase marker, and they draw a little circle. Okay, here's a tree, here's a rock.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice if you had bricks that look like this, except they all had magnets? And so instead of just drawing it with a marker, you could lay out your whole castle and all the passageways, and all the blocks would stick together.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So that's coming up in the future.
Well, that's there's so much that you can do with this. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So I'm glad that you got it up there. And one of the things is, I see at my shows when I'm selling your stuff, is people come up and, you know, they're like, oh boy, you know, I want to get this. I tell them, you know, what you should do is get your whole D&D gang to all chip in and get the biggest thing you can, and you will just have endless game night fun for the next X amount of years, you know. And when you're dividing it up between 4 to 8 people, I mean, the cost is really not much there. And
if you got something like this for $25, this room could be used again and again and again. It could be a warehouse, it could be a castle, it could be a mansion.
Right.
And the square are always exactly 1 inch, and so it just, you can repurpose it for any kind of, even from game to game.
Yeah, I mean, if that's $25 and there's 5 guys or guys and gals who want to chip in, I mean, it's $5 each for a really cool gaming experience. So that's, you know, that's hardly much.
It 100% beats theater of the mind, you know.
Yeah.
Imagine the is over there and you shoot your arrow. Okay, well, that's kind of cool, but this is cooler. When it's all, see, what, I'm basically just a big kid and I make toys, and it's really fun, but they're adult. Like, they're not for, I mean, you can play them with kids, but these things, you could throw them in a box, they'll last for years. They're hard as a rock, they're not going to warp. I mean, I wouldn't leave them in the back seat of your car in the middle of August, but it's not going anywhere. It's just real solid, you know. So
yeah, most gamers I know would treat them like gold anyway. Unless they threw the wrong dice and chucked them at the game master.
Even if you chipped off a piece on the edge, it's still the same color underneath. So the whole thing is an even color all the way through. So if it has a scratch, you can't even very well see it, you know.
So as your dungeon master's laying bleeding on the table with a chip stuck in his head, it didn't ruin your game piece.
Exactly. So tell me, I know with everything that's going on right now, that some of the different craft fairs and Renaissance fairs have been canceled. But do you have any kind of Renaissance fairs, craft fairs, and other things like that where, you know, people might be able to pick up your books and your dice jail and your games and maybe some terrain?
That I don't know yet. I've got some shows lined up, but I've had my shows lined up all summer, but they just keep canceling them as you know the pandemic continues, and we're just hoping for the best. You know, we want everybody to be healthy, of course. So, uh, but I do have some shows coming up in August. Hopefully, there's one in Manitou Beach, Michigan. There's one in Taos Beach on Labor Day, up in Taos. It's north of the Thumb, across the water. And I've got some more. All my Renaissance shows have been canceled because due to the virus.
Mm-hmm.
But in Grand Rapids, they're still scheduled to have the Comic-Con in November, and that's a pretty big show. And I've got a great big table, and I'm going to have all of our stuff there. So if you really want to come see some stuff and put your hands on it, uh, that's the show to go to, the Grand Rapids Comic-Con. I'll have Andy stuff there with me, and I'm talking to the viewers now. You can see Andy stuff, you can feel it, you can test the magnets. You know, bring your own miniatures if you want to, you know, put them on the pieces, and then you can see my stuff, my books, my games, my art, the music. I kind of do just everything creative that you can think of with this fantasy world. I call the Unremembered Realms like a miniature TSR. You know, it's me
Right.
running the show, me putting out the content, and it's nice, you know. And I've got a ton of people. My base keeps growing, and it's just exciting, you know. This year's been kind of weird because, of course, the pandemic, but uh, last year was incredible, and I'm hoping that 2021 picks up the pace and we can get all this going again. So right
Sounds
now
good.
we're just relying on Kickstarter because we can't go out.
Is there a way, you know, that do you publish like a list of all the places that you're going to appear?
Yeah, it's on my website. If you go to theunrememberedrealms.com, you'll see
Okay.
a button on there called schedule. If we go there right now.
I'm a little bit slow because I'm down in the basement, but it'll load eventually. There we go. The Unremembered Realms. Okay.
Okay, if you click on the gray arrow there, and there's my schedule.
Okay. So, oh, I see. So Manitou Art Show, August. Birch Run, August. Taos is in September. Grand Rapids Comic Con is in November. Okay, they had it earlier before, didn't they?
Um, I think they had it just a week or two earlier than that before.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I haven't been there in a couple years, but they were really excited to have me back. They saw my stuff last time, and I've really grown since then. So they saw some of the stuff I was working on. They were like, "Boy, you really need to come to this thing." And I was like, "Yeah, I do. I need more exposure." So
You know what's nice is to actually, when you buy a book, to get it signed by the author right there is
yeah.
pretty cool. Plus, you don't really charge extra for that, do you?
No, no. If they buy the book, I mean, I'm just happy to have somebody who's willing to step into my world and enjoy the experience. Yeah, I don't do that. I really want people to get the most bang for their buck. Um, I know some people do that, and you know that's them. That's fine. I don't you know pshaw that. I mean that's their thing. But you know if people are coming to my table, I want them to walk away with bags full of stuff, and they're very happy. And uh, you know, every year I bring out 2 to 3 new products. Yeah, you've seen that, Andy. You know, I'm constantly creating. I've got stuff that I've been working on for 3 years, like the role playing system. Uh, I've always got new stuff in the works, and I'm hoping that people can jump on my Kickstarters, jump on my website, learn about what I'm doing, and get it out there. I mean, there's there's not too many fantasy comedy authors out there today, and I've done a lot of research who can still keep it clean and still be funny. Most people, and if people do their own thing, I've got nothing against people doing their own thing, but mine's the one that you can share with the family. People come up and they're like, "Oh, is this kiddie humor or whatever?" I was like, "No, it's like Lord of the Rings. Anybody, an 8-year-old or a 80-year-old could read it and still enjoy it." I just opt to keep it, more suitable for everyone to enjoy. And the people who've read it have agreed with me. So
yeah, and classics, like I view Star Wars as a classic. It doesn't have cussing in Star Wars.
right.
There's not scenes in Star Wars, and so okay, there's a few battles, but it's not like blood hits the camera lens, or it's not that it's not as graphic as some of the other shows out there. So thanks for keeping it the way that you do it, because I like the way you do it.
Oh, thanks. And I enjoy your stuff. So, I mean, I think we got something going good here. We make a good team, and I hope that more people jump aboard our Kickstarters and follow our adventures. Because if Lord willing and the creek don't rise, we're going to keep this thing going.
If I get over 5,000 in pledges, then my stretch goal is to add all these miniatures I'm doing. So right now you don't really see the miniatures as a feature. It's about the terrain, right? But look at some of these interesting miniatures. Okay, so if I get 5,000 in pledges, I'm going to add these as a stretch goal. So that's your Snake Lord, Ghosts. It's like a see-through material. It's translucent, so he looks
Very cool.
like maybe he could be the drummer from the band. So ghostly treasure chest.
And this is something you made for me. This is for one of the games I'm creating.
Same color.
He's called the Rim Gripper. He's from my plumber game. It's my fantasy plumbing game. He's a fun character. He's holding a plunger. There's a mouse sitting by a little piece of toilet paper here. So you created that for me, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of that, and a lot of my fans do as well.
So I'm experimenting with all these different colors, and as you can see, I'm getting better and better at 3D printing. I would show you on the screen what my 3D printing area looks like, but it's a little bit of a mess. But anyway, let's keep investing in better tools and learning more about it. And the pieces are coming out better and better. The next time I print a rim gripper, I can get even more detail, I bet.
Nice.
I've learned to change the settings and have it take maybe a little bit longer, but then all the details come out a little bit more clear. So
yeah, that's really good.
Spider folk. Cool.
Right.
Well, we'll take it from there next time. It looks like we're out of time for today, but thanks for talking to me today.
Yeah, I enjoy the conversation. Me and you could talk for hours, but we don't want to do that to people watching. So
maybe we should start a podcast about old D&D stories.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Comment below, everybody, if you think that would be a good idea.
Is it old stories or old people telling stories?
That's a good question. So, well, maybe we should call it old school stories.
Yeah, there we go. So, all right.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.